This summer, Landon and I are in a Spatial Patterns studio, which is focusing on developing simple 2D geometries and creating patterns through those and then developing them into 3D. This right here is a site model for what we have been working on so far. And this is one of our more finished products, and we are going to explain to you in these upcoming videos how we got to this point. The first step of our studio work was to start developing patterns and then create a whole catalog of patterns based on that. In order for a pattern to be a pattern, it has to follow a specific set of rules in order for somebody to easily be able to follow and replicate it. So this generation process, we started with 4 different polygons: a hexagon, octagon, decagon, and dodecagon, 6, 8, 10, and 12 sides. And then we created different lines through them to go to their opposite intersections. And then using that shape, we tessellated them using different connection points. So if you see right here, this is the shape right here, and we connected it in this way, and this way. So we created 3 different connection points, which created 3 different inside shapes. You see this square here, this star shape, and then this odd cross-looking shape. So as we developed the pattern, we used the different polygons with the different connections to create a catalog of about 20 different patterns, and they all have very different looking shapes and different inside geometries, but they all follow the same set of rules. They just use a different shape for each of them. The development of this catalog was used was done using Adobe Illustrator, and so what we did was we created guides to start out. And so to do that, at the edge of the Illustrator screen, you click on the ruler and you can align a guide with a certain piece of the page in order for you to know exactly where you want to go. So if I wanted this shape to go right next to this guide, it would give me an easy way to do that and to create a very easy and well-organized page. Our next part of the pattern developing process was to create a super pattern based on our different catalogs of simple patterns. So at the bottom of the page here, I used 3 different patterns that were in that previous catalog in the last video we showed you. And through that, we created this large super pattern, and I'm going to show you how to make that really quick. So you can see from here, in this shape, we tried to create a shape that had different variations in the inside shapes. So you can see in this pattern we have triangles as inside shapes, a smaller star, and then a larger star in the center. So to create the super pattern, we took this base shape and then we copied it. Now to do that, all you have to do is to drag it over and then hold down the Alt key as you let go, and that creates a copy. The next part of the process was to rotate the image. And to rotate 90 degrees, you can hold the Shift key down and it will snap into place. And then I dragged it in. After rotating the shapes completely around to form a square of sorts, I will again copy the command, use the alternate key to duplicate it. And then this time I will use the reflect command, which you can use by right-clicking the image and then going to transform, reflect. and then show you the window here. I have the preview box checked so I can see what's happening with my new reflection. I'm going to flip it over the vertical axis. So I have a new copy that's reflected against my old set. And you can see now that I'm getting to form my large super pattern.
Once we have a two-dimensional pattern, we can make it three-dimensional by moving the points at the intersection of these shapes and having the surfaces adjust. We can do that in Rhino by using the solid points command. And once we have those points, we can move them and the program will automatically adjust. Once we've determined the shape that we want, in this case, on the basis of the super pattern that Daniel was talking about as the underlay to determine which part of this was risen, then we can prepare it for modeling by making it into a series of layers with the contour command. Just show that it wants to go from top to bottom, and we decide how thick each contour is going to be. Since our material is 1/32 thick, we make it 1/32 inches. And get lines that can be cut apart into layers. Once we have the contour lines we want, here in red, we want to make it back into 2 dimensions so that we can laser cut it. So we use the Rhino. In Rhino, we're going to use the command project to C-plane. And now they've all flattened down. And each line is grouped together, so we can put one layer for each piece of material that we want to use at the laser cutter. So we've scaled this to the size that can fit on the laser cutter, and then we can copy each layer into a new box. We can even copy some of the ones further in on top of the others, meaning there will be multiple layers, and the outer layer will be hollow and the inner layer can be cut out of it without affecting the overall form. So each box that is going to be cut out by the laser cutter now has multiple layers that can be cut out, and the color shows the ordering. So the red ones will be cut out first so that they're not jostled around when the bigger ones are cut. Each panel is labeled so that we know that this is the base layer, and we'll know the order to put the pieces back together. And we'll start, put the bottom piece stacked on top of the bottom piece of 2, stacked on top of the bottom piece of 3, etc. until we form a series of layers that form the overall geometric shape.